What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and the NBA season is only getting closer. We've got at least a few months until we see any real action. We do have preseason eventually. I'm not sure of the exact dates, but it's at least some type of basketball to watch and enjoy, hopefully. And today I really wanted to talk about one of the teams that I think is going to shock the NBA and might even make a deep playoff run without us really expecting them to. And it's kind of a touchy thing to talk about this because a lot of teams could be underdogs. A lot of teams, it seems like every year, make the run when we don't expect them to. A lot of people didn't expect the Warriors to make the run last year and win the finals, especially after beating the Grizzlies and all of them. The Mavericks were another team that was not expected to make the run. But today, I want to talk about a team that it always seems like is in the conversation for having an upset or an underdog story, and they just make it work. And that is the Toronto Raptors. Now, as we all know, just a few years ago, it's actually longer than it seems, but in 2019, I believe, is when they won the finals with Kawhi Leonard. And a lot of people underestimated them. I remember when we were playing them, we go up 2-0. I felt pretty good about the series. Obviously, Kawhi was going to get his buckets. He was going to score. But as long as we could stop Kyle Lowry, which we did to an okay degree the first few games, as long as we could stop Marc Gasol, Danny Green, all of the role players outside of Kawhi, we had a pretty good chance to win that series. Unfortunately for us, obviously, the Raptors win 4 straight, and Giannis gets knocked out of the playoffs again. His narrative goes even farther down as a playoff disappointment. Obviously, you can't say that about him anymore, but at the time, it was a big storyline about Giannis. Anyways, the Raptors before that had just had probably one of the best series in a long time with the 76ers. That Game 7 game winner from Kawhi Leonard. You'll probably see it on screen right here because we need to remind 76ers fans as much as possible what happened that day. But I say all this just to say that it seems like the Raptors are always a sure bet team to actually be good even when they should be bad. We know Pascal Siakam struggled really heavily last year or the year before that, and last year he comes out and he has an all-star season again. He looks like his old self, and dare I say he looks even better than his old self. They have a great young core. They have Malik Monk's look-alike, who I just now see in Armani Brooks, he just looks exactly like Malik Monk. That doesn't have a point with the video, but yeah, their young core allows them to be so good the way it's built. I mean, you've got Pascal Siakam, as I mentioned. He's a established NBA player that I think is going to continue to be a very, very quality NBA player. Whether or not he reaches his highs from this past season, we really won't know. But on top of that, you bring Fred VanVleet back, obviously, and he has been an all-star point guard before. He has continued to play at a high level, maybe not as high as you would have hoped from that 2019 season, stuff like that. If I could pull it up, please. But yeah, so last year he ended up averaging 20 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, and about 7 assists in 65 games, and that's a very good a number or averages for a guy that doesn't actually run the offense. Of course, 20 points per game, he's probably their leading scorer or second leading scorer, but he doesn't exactly have the focal, or he isn't exactly the focal point of their offense all the time. And especially when you can have a second guy like Fred VanVleet putting up 20, it's a good thing or a sure way to get you into the playoffs. And then we're just going to talk about some of my favorite parts about this team. I've never been a Raptors fan, but I respect the way they build. Nick Nurse is a great head coach. I mean, bringing Chris Boucher back, he's a guy that I'm pretty sure every NBA team would like on their roster. He can play defense. He can score at that center position. He's a little undersized, but I think at the end of the day, even though he's 6'9", he is just a very, very efficient center. And as we can see last year, 9 points and 6 rebounds for a 6'9" guy is something really, really good. He did get re-signed, so they have a good guy coming back to play that center position. Also, they bring in Otto Porter Jr., a guy who's coming off of a championship season. Obviously, he didn't have the biggest impact. He played 63 games, averaged about 8.6 rebounds, about 1.5 assists a game, but he's just a pure power forward, small forward guy that can come out there and he can get you buckets. He may not be the same he used to be maybe 5 years ago, but he can still get you those microwave points. He can get on the court and he can provide you at least a very bright spark to your offense if you're struggling. Then we get into their most recent signing, and probably not a big impact, but come on. Bo Cruz, Juancho Hernan Gomez, he struggled last year after recording being starring in the movie, he actually missed out on a lot of training and stuff, so he did struggle. Only ended up playing about 40 games last year, only averaged 3 points, 2.5 rebounds, and about 0.5 assists, but I still like him as an NBA player. Obviously, he is a little undersized for a center, so he's going to be stuck at that power forward position because he doesn't have the strength that Chris Boucher may have or has shown to have across his career. So I think he's a quality guy off the bench, maybe even just a guy there that's, for morale and stuff, but he can hit the three at a fairly efficient clip for a big man. So I think he's a quality signing for them to bring in. They brought back Delano Banton, obviously a rookie last year, didn't get much playing time, but he looks to have promise, especially after a solid summer league showing. Kim Birch is there. They still got Malachi Flynn, a guy that hasn't had really his opportunity to shine just yet, but I believe he can. Yuta Wannabe, just, he's there. He just gets dunked on a lot, it seems like. I think he can be a solid NBA player, but he's 27. He's probably the least potential or prospective spot on this roster, but he can still have a solid NBA career. You've got Isaac Bonga, a guy that I hope succeeds at some point in his career. He's 22 years old. He hasn't got any playing time, really. Last year, he only got 15 games played, averaged about 0.8 points, 0.5 rebounds, and 0.3 assists. So maybe he can finally find a way into the rotation. David Johnson is another young guy off the bench there that can provide them some spark minutes. Justin Champagne. I mean, there's just a whole lot of guys on this team. They bring back Svi Mikhailuk. I just love this roster, and that's before we even get into my favorite part of it. So we all know Scotty Barnes is an outstanding NBA player. A lot of people thought he wasn't the right pick at the time. He obviously didn't expect to win Rookie of the Year, which he ended up doing, averaging 15 points, 7.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and a fairly decent playoff showing for a rookie especially. But I think Scotty Barnes is only going to get better. Then you've got OG Anunoby, a guy that I think at 25 years old, who is already one of the better wing defenders in the league, and he's improved his offense steadily every year despite some injuries and some setbacks. OG is really going to be able to jump this year. I think he's going to take an even bigger leap, maybe up to 20 points per game from 17 last year, and I really think a lot of his talent and a lot of the way he's progressed has to do with spending much of his early career with those winning teams with Kawhi Leonard and other players. I like OG Anunoby. If he gets traded, I could understand why, but I think if I'm the Raptors, I'm going to try and hold on to him the most. But one of the players that I'm probably the most excited for on this roster is going to be Precious Achiuwa. We saw last year in 73 games, 9 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, and 1 assist. He really started bringing down the three ball. He started taking some high-quality shots, working on defense, and he really accelerated his potential. I thought he was going to be a decent player no matter what, but last year he really took that leap and he became one of the better backup centers in the NBA. And if we're thinking correctly, they could even play him at power forward and start him in some games if they really wanted to. But at the end of the day, if you have him coming off the bench, he can only get better at 22 in my opinion. I don't think he's going to be a bad NBA player. I think he has a lot of room to grow. And that's why I'm so excited to watch this Raptors team in a roundabout way. Just going over the roster, continue to play, is because they have so many players that I think honestly are going to take big leaps next year and continue to grow. I mean, Scotty Barnes, how much bigger of a leap can he take? Can he become a superstar? We'll have to see after this season. Will he hit a sophomore slump? We really don't know what to expect. I don't think he will, though. OG Anunoby, Precious Achiuwa, Gary Trent Jr. is a guy that I didn't even mention, and he was a very, very prolific part of that offense. He had about 18 points per game in 70 games last year, and he's only 23, so they're one of the younger teams in the league, and they have a lot of talent just sitting on their team that I believe can help them win. And also the additions of Otto Porter, Svi Mikhailuk coming back, Thaddeus Young is a guy that I believe is really gonna help him out, or help them out if he's able to, or if they end up bringing him back. But I think this team is poised for a deep playoff run, at least second round, maybe even a shocking conference finals run, similar to what we saw with the Hawks in 2021. A few injuries, and I could see the Raptors making it all the way to the conference finals and maybe even into the finals if we have some very severe injuries. And that's why I made this video. I wanted to talk to you guys, and if you guys feel the same about the Raptors, let me know what you're thinking about how they'll do this year. I think they'll only get better from last year with a lot of people put them out into the rebuilding category. They were tanking last year, and they came out and they played really well all year long. Obviously, some injuries in the playoffs. The 76ers just ended up playing better than them overall. They kind of shortened their season than what the fans would have liked, but I think next year they can come back and they can get a redemption attempt at least next year. And if we're talking into the future, they're going to be one of the better teams in the NBA if they can keep this core together. How do you guys feel about the Raptors? Where do you put them on your pedestal of underdog teams? Will they make the playoffs next year? It's kind of a toss-up, but I am really, really high on this roster. Thank you guys for watching this one. If you did enjoy, hit the like button and subscribe. Turn post notifications on so you always stay up to date on my NBA news videos, my NBA history videos, and everything in between. Thank you guys for watching this one. I'll see you next time. Peace.